Good afternoon and welcome to my YouTube channel. I say good afternoon because currently I'm filming this video in the afternoon, but I probably upload it in the morning. The purpose of today's video is to teach you how to learn vocabulary effectively, and how you've been learning vocabulary might not be the right way to do it, and that's why you struggle with learning lots of new words or using them when you speak. First, I'm going to talk about how most students learn vocabulary and how that might be the wrong way to do it. Then I'm going to introduce the right way to learn vocabulary so you can use them when you speak, or you can understand them when you hear someone saying it, especially a native speaker using those words. A lot of students who are not educated on how to learn vocabulary effectively learn vocabulary this way. They have this book or they have this list of words, and next to those words the meaning of them in their own language is written. So what they do is that they repeat those words and their meanings for thousands of times until they can memorize them and hopefully remember them for a few days. That is actually too optimistic because most of them forget 80 to 90% of them within a day. This method exists because it worked in the past. The old system of teaching a language worked this way. Like, teachers would teach something to students and then they had these exams, and students would memorize all the vocabs the night before the exam, and they were able to score 100% on their test using this method. But learning a language is not a lesson, and learning to be able to speak English fluently is not an exam that you have to take just one day and be okay with it. That's actually a skill, and you didn't learn your own language that way. You learned by practicing and making some mistakes and using those words that you learned. So you have to approach learning English as if it's a skill that you have to practice every day to be good at it. Now I'm going to talk about the right way to learn vocabulary. Imagine that you've heard a new word when you were watching a movie, or you were studying a new vocabulary book and you didn't understand one specific word. What you should do now is that you should try to guess the meaning of that vocab based on context. For example, that vocabulary book may have a reading passage and that word was used in that reading passage. So you have to guess the meaning based on other words in that sentence, or when you hear that word in a movie, you have to guess the meaning based on what's going on in that movie, based on the story of that movie. After guessing, the next thing you should do is to use an online dictionary. Online dictionary is preferable because paper dictionaries are old-fashioned and that takes up a lot of time. So online dictionary is the best option. The online dictionaries that I've been using and they have been really helpful and useful is Cambridge Dictionary and Longman Dictionary. In my opinion, they're the best and you can check them out. You can look them up. You can look those. You can search those words or those vocabulary in those online dictionaries, and then you see the meaning and some examples that appear in those online dictionaries. You can check them out and then you can write them down in case you forget that new word that you're learning, or in case you might forget how to use that word in a sentence. Those examples are going to be really helpful, so it's better for you to write them down and review them later, a few days later. So let's practice this together. Imagine I'm watching a new movie or a series and I hear a new word when watching it. For example, in this scene of Emily in Paris, I hear the word thrilled.
We are thrilled to be launching Heartbreak.
And imagine that this word is new to me, I've never heard it before, or even if I've heard it, I don't know exactly what it means. So first, based on her sentence that she said right now, I'm going to guess the meaning of thrilled. She says, we are thrilled to be launching Heartbreak. So maybe they are happy, they are excited because they're going to launch this new product or this new brand. They're going to start this brand, and because of that, probably they are happy. They can't be sad because they are starting something new. And I think based on her facial expressions, she might be happy about it, or she might be excited. So I guess that thrilled means excited and happy. Then I go look up this word in an online dictionary. For example, for now, I'm going to choose Cambridge Dictionary. I search this word in Cambridge Dictionary and I see what comes up. For example, I can look at the meaning of thrilled. I can look at the meaning written in English, and then I can see all the examples. And when I read all those examples, I'm gonna learn how to use thrilled in a sentence. So not only do I know what it means, I can also use them in a sentence. So I added something to my vocabulary, and I have a broader range of vocabulary when I'm talking, and that's great. So if I can write it down and then review it later, so I won't forget the meaning of this vocabulary that I just learned. So that is how it works. And also, if you are using some vocabulary books, you can do that. Of course, in a lot of vocabulary books, you can see the meaning of them written in English, and you can see some examples, so there's no need to do that. But you can always take notes and take a look at those notes later, because it's sometimes impossible to go back and study the whole book again. You just want to review your notes because that takes a shorter amount of time. So you may just want to do that, but that goes the same way for vocabulary books. Sometimes you may not understand, even though the meaning of them is written in English, or there are some examples you might want to know some more examples, or you didn't exactly understand how to use them in a sentence. Again, you can look them up in one online dictionary and you can learn how to use them when you're speaking about one specific topic. A lot of you may wonder whether vocabulary books are effective or not, because based on what I said, you have to search the meaning of different vocab in order to understand them, and a lot of vocabulary books do not offer the meaning of those vocabs in English, or they don't have a lot of examples for you to understand fully how to use them when you're talking. My answer to this is that yes, vocabulary books are definitely effective, but under certain circumstances. Those vocabulary books are never enough if you want to learn how to speak fluently, like a native speaker or close to a native speaker level. They're not enough, but they are helpful to some extent. For example, imagine that you study a vocabulary book fully. After you finish it, in my opinion, you can only remember 50% of the words, and sometimes even less than that. But of course, you may not know how to use a lot of them, but the good thing is that when you learn a new word in a vocabulary book, if you hear them later and if you search them in an online dictionary, that's going to be a lot easier for you to learn it and remember it, because you heard that word before and you studied it before. So it's like you're reviewing it again, and learning it would be a lot quicker than learning a new word that you've never heard before, or you've never studied in a vocab book before. So learning vocabulary through vocabulary books happen this way. When you study them, you may not remember lots of those words later, but the good thing is that whenever you hear those words that you've learned in those vocabulary books, whenever you hear those words in movies later, or when you read them in a text, even if you don't remember the right meaning, when you look them up in an online dictionary, or when you try to search for the examples, it's going to be a lot easier for you to memorize them and learn how to use them when you're speaking, how to use them in different sentences. That's why I find vocabulary books really helpful, because they build this foundation for you, and learning and using those vocabulary are going to be a lot easier for you in the future. And that is it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that this video has been helpful for you, and please let me know in the comments whether you've been learning vocabulary the modern way or the old-fashioned way, and whether you would like to change it. And of course, at first, changing it might be really difficult, because memorizing some words and the meaning of them in your own language is going to be a lot easier than making this attempt to search the new word and learning some examples. But I will assure you that this method is better, and it works really well, and it helps you to learn how to use new words, and you won't forget them if you learn vocabulary this way. Thank you so much, and see you in the next video.